And Mitchell, thank you so much for just taking the time to chat. I know we were kind of communicating on our favorite platform, which
Yeah.
is LinkedIn, which we're going to dive deep into. And
hmm
wanted to start off this conversation with just kind of telling folks a little bit about your founder journey. What inspired you to
hmm
build what I was telling you earlier is like a dream come true for me, like being able to organize and have LinkedIn messages in an interface that feels like email and sits on top of all the goodness there. So why don't we start off with that story?
Yeah. So basically, used to be an employee at a startup. Did go to market there. Send lots of LinkedIn's from everyone's accounts, right? Founders' accounts, like marketing people. Like, I did all the kind of like messaging wiring. Make sure everyone stays on track. It was hard. We kept missing replies. People would be like, dude, you reached out. Like this was early days of LinkedIn where there were less bots and stuff, so people like actually like responded more, and then people would respond. We would have like VPs of sales or VPs of marketing, and they'd be like, "Oh, okay, it sounds interesting. Let's chat." And then we would like take so long to get back to them, and they'd be like, "What's wrong with you? Like, you want to talk, and then like you're slow on these messages, right?" And so it was just really hard to keep track of so much messaging. Not not because like we were actually doing so many, like we were doing like I don't know 100 a week or something. It was still okay, but like the LinkedIn Messenger was just so crappy. Like there was no way we could like do basic stuff that we could do, say even in Gmail or Outlook, right? And we ended up making these huge spreadsheets and like up, like have this like SLA where every spreadsheet's updated 3 times a day. If people respond, you need to change the thing. And honestly, that was just kind of silly. We did it because like it was the only way to do it, but it was just kind of stupid, right? Like you don't you don't go like spreadsheet your emails. So like and like sales professionals don't miss their emails when they're important, right? And they are able to do that without a spreadsheet. So like why were we doing this thing for LinkedIn? So it was just like really annoying problem. There was like I'm waiting for someone to build it. Like I was like, if someone built this, you have my credit card or $50 a month, $100, like I pay for it today, like literally. And I was like, surely someone must be already working on it because it's like an obvious problem, right? And surely LinkedIn must be working on it because it's an obvious problem. And so I just kept waiting. And yeah, I mean, years went by, and I found myself still spreadsheeting LinkedIn messages, and I was like, okay, I like no one wants to do this. I'm gonna build this thing. Yeah. So it was a problem. It was a tool I wanted for myself, um, and I actually waited for someone to build it, and nobody did. So that's when the right alignment of circumstances came out, where my co-founder was free. I was free. Like, hey, let's go do some SaaS. What ideas we threw out a few ideas, and I was like, this is kind of like this will be fun, right? This is like the thing we've been like talking about for a while, and like why don't we just go do it, right? So that's the story.
That's awesome. There was a startup many years ago. I'm gonna say, God, 20 years ago or something like that,
hmm
or no, maybe not. I'm messing up my 10 years ago. Let's say,
hmm
um, that was called Reportive. I don't know
hmm
if you're familiar. And
Yeah.
so Rahul over there, and he ended up selling it. I thought he was gonna do it because he
hmm
had this like really good way of like pulling in on a
hmm
side panel like
hmm
social information, LinkedIn information, and I thought
hmm
eventually there was going to be like messaging being able to
hmm
be
hmm
pushed through that thing. He ended up again selling it to LinkedIn,
hmm
hanging out there, and then now he launched Superhuman, which
hmm
seems to be doing pretty well from what I can
hmm
tell, and he's really had a knack for that messaging kind of
hmm
interface and all the cool things that they're doing now. So
hmm
other than that, yeah, like there's been these social CRM things that have tried to do these things, but they were not within the context or workflow of an email system, right?
Mhm,
The interfaces were atrocious, and
mhm,
they were more for like the social media, manager kind of thing,
mhm,
right? Or that
mhm,
workflow. And that's not what we're, you know, salesperson what you need, right? And it's not
Mhm.
really optimized for conversations, as you know. So other
Mhm.
than that, like I have not seen it done, and I was just scratching my head. As I told you, I
Mhm.
tried to dig into it myself.
Yeah.
Question: if you're a go-to-market professional out there, you're a VP of sales out there,
Mhm.
like I'm very, very biased, but like what advice would you give them about really prioritizing LinkedIn as a
Mhm.
sales communication channel, like right now?
Yeah. So the way I see it, if you want to do outbound, right? You have three options today, right? You can go cold email, and how do you cold email properly? You get things like instant leads, right? Smart leads. You like you build this like gargantuan deliverability machine with like 100 domains and 30 accounts per domain, and you try and make it work, right? And then maybe best in class, you write amazing subject lines, right? You learn something from Will Elred at Lavender, right? You write cold emails that don't sound like bots, right? And maybe they stand out a bit, and then you try and make that work. So that's one thing you can do. The second thing you can do is cold call, right? You tell your reps that, never emails don't work. Just pick up the damn phone, call people, right? Like, it still works, right? So I think you can do that. And then the third thing you can do is LinkedIn, right? Why would you do LinkedIn? I think uh, there is, well, first, there's a cold calls are not, they're less scalable than something like LinkedIn, because got to make so many dials a day. To make more dials, you just scale with reps, right? Um, with LinkedIn, like, you actually have it's like somewhere in between, right? You can send a lot of messages on LinkedIn, right? You don't have to dial, right? But the response rates on those messages is also much better than anything you've seen in email. Like, we're talking about 30% reply rates, 50% reply rates, right? That's like 10 to 100x whatever you can get out of cold email. Why is that true? Because LinkedIn is not just like messaging, right? When someone messages you on LinkedIn, they see who you are. They'll open your profile, right? They know where you worked. They see what you've been talking about, right? You can build credibility. Like, people can see who you are. Whereas in an email, you're just an email address. Nobody's going to look you up and see who this guy is, right? But on LinkedIn, it's right there. They just click the link. So that's one thing. Like, it's like kind of warm. You can build some rapport. You can build some credibility before you even send a message, right? The second thing is that um, LinkedIn messages have like, you can do, you have no delivery problems, right? Your messages are always read, right? Like, people always see it. And also, you can play with interesting formats. So on LinkedIn messages now, you can send images, you can send videos, right? You can send voice notes, right? And all these, like, in the LinkedIn platform, are delivered natively quite well. It's not like some link to a Loom that you have to go somewhere else to see. You can actually like send the video in the thing, right? And these formats make you warmer, right? They feel less like a bot, right? So I think basically LinkedIn platform allows you to have these like kind of semi-scalable channel, right? Where it's like maybe not as personal and one-to-one as the cold call, right? But it works a lot better than the cold email. So I think it's just like a very good ROI channel. If if you're training your reps to like nail some kind of outbound motion, it's probably a very good bet to get them to like beef up their LinkedIn profiles, get them to post so that people see them, find them credible, find them interesting, and then get them to like send very good messages, and they'll get like insane reply rates, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm hugely biased, right? Like, I
Mm,
don't know that I could have done
mm,
outreach over the last 5 years or so without
mm,
LinkedIn. I'm gonna
mhm,
say, yeah, 5, 6 years or so.
mm,
Like, if I was just relying on email,
mhm,
I would have retired from
mhm,
the go-to-market profession,
mhm,
because it's just very, very difficult. And I think the ability to actually feel like you are communicating with a human, right? Unless
mhm,
there's some kind of like fake profile or something like that,
mhm,
which I suppose happens
mhm,
from time to time. Like, I just feel that there's that human connection you were talking about, kind of
mhm,
the identity on LinkedIn. It's just it's a lot closer. Like, for example, when you do door-to-door sales or like person-to-person sales, like when you have someone in front of you, for some
Hmm.
reason, you have this human connection that is
Hmm.
being sort of facilitated, and you have this going on one-to-one. um, you then, I think, being able to communicate, like the social proof that is created there is
Hmm.
very, very different, right? um like, again, that human connection is very, very different. And so I think that the in a digital world, I think that's why
Hmm.
social is so powerful. And I think in a digital world, LinkedIn for us B2B is just a no-brainer. So for you out there, go to market professionals, VPs of sales, CROs, and so on and so forth, you have to, like, trust me on this. Like, don't just take Mitchell and I's opinion. Take a
Hmm.
look, like, check it out, try it. If I'm even shocked that I'm even if you're a B2B sales leader, that I even have to tell you this, but I think that there are still those folks out there who haven't discovered this as a channel. So Mitchell, I wanted to ask you about the actual product. Maybe we can
Hmm.
dive in deep here into the product.
Hmm.
If you want to show some, I don't know if you have a demo. I know this is sort
Hmm.
of ad hoc
Yeah.
here, but if you do
Yeah.
have any sort of features you want to highlight, I
Hmm.
just really want to add value for the folks out there, the audience out there, to be able to dig in. Oh, we lost him. We'll bring him back. Mom.
Sorry, I my connection died for a second.
No problem. No, we'll
Just a
we'll
minute.
edit this out. No problem.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Or we can
Uh,
keep it. It's kind of fun, but you can hear
uh,
me screaming at my mom for keeping coming into my office. My mom's in town, and
uh, yeah.
she,
Um.
yeah. So just maybe we can start off with my
Mhm.
statement, which is that I wanted to, like, add value. So I'll
Mhm. Mhm.
start off with that, and if you can pull up some product shots, that would be
Mhm.
awesome if
Sure.
you have it
Of course.
available.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, you ready? Okay, so let me start all over. And I really want to add value to the folks out there by showing them the product, right? So
Mhm.
for the folks out there, Mitchell did not pay me. He did not Venmo me a sponsorship or anything like that. We don't even have sponsors on this show.
Mhm.
So I just feel that, like, this is immensely valuable. So Mitchell, maybe you can show folks a little bit about,
Yeah.
a little bit of the product, I should say, and some of the features.
Yeah. Sure. Of course. Let me share my screen. Um. Sharing. Okay. So here. I'm sharing my screen now. You see it? Um, so this is what you're used to, right? This is the LinkedIn inbox, right? Just to, like, in case you didn't know, it's kind of a mess. Why? Let's say I want to find messages a few months ago. Like, what I do, like, scroll, right? Like, it's kind of impossible to find anything in here. And this is Kondo, right? It looks like this. I want to scroll down a few months, like I can see all my messages in here, right? So this is something more like an email experience, which you're used to, right? If you've used Gmail, if you've used Outlook, if you use Superhuman, right? We've turned LinkedIn messaging into more like an email workflow where you can actually stay organized. What you can do in here is you can do stuff like labels. So, for example, I can label Jamie as a customer, right? And then now he moves into my box of customers. I have a whole bunch of them in here, right? I can set reminders, so I can say, hey, I want to follow up with this guy tomorrow, right? Uh, and he's gonna get snoozed. He'll go away and come back later. And I can also very quickly just archive people I'm done with, right? So, for example, I'm kind of done with Jessica for now. I can archive, right? You can archive people like that. So the idea here is really to, like, stay organized and move really fast through your LinkedIn inbox without having to, like, click a million buttons or, like, scroll a million times, right?
I love it. So it looks like you can also set up multiple inboxes here on the left-hand side. So these are
Yeah,
tab. Can I add
yeah.
more than two?
Yeah, of course. Here's like new tab one. Right. These are like favorite people, right? We can add as many as you want, right? You can even give them, you know, dinosaur emoji, right? Um, Yeah. So just like an email, you can make as many labels as you want, and you can
This is
split your
awesome.
inbox out into different folders. Yeah.
Gosh, you got my toes tingling. So I immediately went to like sales pipeline kind
Hmm.
of
Hmm.
mentality, also customer success. So for
Yeah.
example, what a lot of folks have been doing with Slack channels
Hmm.
is setting up customer specific Slack channels, but it becomes cumbersome because you need to then connect the Slack, channels, and maybe they don't have Slack, or
Hmm.
they don't have a paid one, or
Hmm.
you also don't want to be bombarded in your intranet right at
Hmm.
work with
Hmm.
external customer messages, because it could just
Hmm.
be pretty
Yeah.
wild. So I
Hmm.
just thought to myself also, like, wow, you could actually set up inboxes here
Hmm.
leveraging everyone's LinkedIn profiles, right?
Yeah.
And like make them account or customer specific.
Yeah. You mentioned like sales funnel, right? A lot of sales reps, early stage founders, solopreneurs who use our tool, set up sales funnels in here. So they'd go in here and they'd make something like, like cold lead, right? They'd make something like, where were we? Cold lead. Oop, good. Did we just find a bug live? Let me see. Kind of embarrassing. Refresh.
This is the nature of live presentations, right? So all good.
It gotta break like when you're like using it. Um,
Absolutely. It always happens like that, right?
what on earth is going on? Uh, could it be my internet connection? Okay, let me stop the screen share and save myself some further embarrassment. But yeah, let's see if we can get it back. Um, doo-doo-doo. Sorry.
And we can cut this out, so no worries. The beauty of editing.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So it's
So
back
if you want to
now.
go into like the statement of sales funnels.
Yeah. So okay, let me get the screen share back. Did it screen share? So yeah, you mentioned sales funnels, right? So yeah, it's quite common that what our users come in here to do is they make labels to represent different stages of sales. So for example, you have like booking a meeting, right? You would have, let's say, like responded or interested, right? And then you would have like, prospect, right? And people would literally make these things and like do one, two, right? They would move people through the funnel, right? They grab a lead,
I love
they'd
it.
move that, yeah, they'd move them here, right? And then like you would, like the guy would be interested and then you move them. So people use this as basically a mini LinkedIn CRM of
Nice.
sorts, right? And why? Because you don't need to like put every single person you're reaching out to in your CRM, right? It's not like you send, I don't know, 50 messages a week and you don't create 50 new records. Most of these people aren't going to respond or be interested. So
Yeah.
you build your little pipeline in here, and then when people like book a meeting, then you add them to your actual CRM, and then you track them there, right? So that's one thing. Another thing is you mentioned customer success, right? So yeah, a lot of early stage founders, they go to market on LinkedIn, right? They build a founder brand, their customers come in on LinkedIn, and that's where the communication is. And uh, some of my friends who are like, building like small tools for like go to market people who are on LinkedIn all day, they actually do a lot of customer support on LinkedIn. Customers message them and be like, hey, I need help doing this thing, I need help doing that thing. And it's very easy to miss these messages if your inbox is flooded, right? So yeah, I mean, Kondo, I do customer support on Kondo because of my tool, but other people selling into like customers who are very active on LinkedIn, who spend their customers like go on LinkedIn for hours a day. It's not uncommon for your customers to hit you on LinkedIn and be like, hey, I even saw one of our users, their customer saying, hey, I have trouble paying you. Like, I don't know how to pay, like your payment thing is not working. Can you fix that? And they sent it on LinkedIn. And so imagine if you miss that, right? The guy's trying to pay you, your thing is broken. And the only, the first place they think of to contact you as a founder or an exec is like go on LinkedIn and hit you
Yeah.
up. What if
We
you
get
miss
them all
that?
the
What's
time,
going to happen?
Michael.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, we get them. We get the messages all the time on LinkedIn, like
Hmm.
support requests, the whole
Hmm.
nine. So
Yeah.
I totally get it.
Hmm. Yeah. Cool.
Awesome. Well, Mitchell, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate you taking the time to share your story
Mm-hmm.
and show us a little bit of the product. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to ask, even though I do know the answer, if folks want to get in touch with you, maybe learn more about
Mm-hmm.
Kondo or maybe follow your content. I know you've been sharing some great content on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
Would LinkedIn be the best channel?
Yeah, of course. I mean, so if you want to find out about the product or like sign up, right, like trycondo.com, I think I have it right there. And then look for Mitchell Tan on LinkedIn. I'm the guy with a post box emoji running around because we do messages, right? So look for me, hit me up. You know, comment on my post and tell me how shitty they are. Yeah, all feedback welcome.
Awesome. Well, have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.